Welcome back to 7th Grade Mustache. On today's episode, we'll be speaking about the entities that harvest human emotion. In 1945, in a northern Egyptian town, there was an old ceramic jar that was found. And inside the jar, there were 13 papyruses, or papyri, that were wrapped in leather. And the name of the town is Nag Hammadi. And these codices, these books, became known as the Nag Hammadi texts or the Nag Hammadi scriptures. And what this collection of books did, it gave people an idea of what early Christianity was actually like, because this was written or transcribed by a group of priests who belonged to an order that preserved the original Christianity before Constantine changed it.
Were they cops? Because, I know the old Egyptians were called cops.
Yeah, but they're Coptic, C-O-P-T-I-C.
Yeah, Coptic.
So this is Coptic Christianity.
Yeah.
And so this formed the basis of what people call Gnosticism.
Yep.
And so in Gnosticism, it speaks of the archons and how they exist outside of our earthly plane. Now, the strange thing about this is the description of these beings and what they do. Now, we talked about these beings in the Boule episode and how the upper Boule members call themselves archons, when a lot of them really don't know what this represents. It's a gatekeeper. Archon is a gatekeeper between the living and the spiritual world. So the archons and other entities, they use our energy for sustenance. And the more powerful the emotional energy, the greater the sustenance they provide. So the problem with that is that there are people who practice the dark arts that are in places of power, and they control media outlets and the military and finance. And so when these huge events happen in human history, it causes these spikes on the radar, right? These spikes, these boosts in like emotional energy are being harvested by these entities outside the physical plane. So there was a guy named Robert Monroe, and he created the Monroe Institute. The Monroe Institute was dedicated to researching paranormal and psychic and all types of spiritual topics. Kind of like Professor X School for the Gifted, right? And so it was something like that. But this guy would go constantly on these OBE, out of body experiments all the time. And so he began to encounter this one entity. And this entity started to dictate him the nature of the world that he was venturing into. And in these interactions, this entity told him that the spirit world is essentially a garden. The universe is a garden. And that human beings are these succulent strawberries in this garden that these entities just pluck, and they just suck the energy off of them. So there's historical religious texts that correlate this to a certain degree, because in the Rig Vedas and the Upanishads in India, they say that this world is all about sacrifice, and that no living creature can escape the role of being a sacrificer. It's tied to how they talk about karma in Buddhism, and how it's to escape the wheel of karma is really the goal of almost all spiritual entities once they become enlightened enough to understand that they affect everything around them, because we are quantumly entangled with everything around us.
It's quite simple. when you're a little kid, you growing up, you watching these movies about these natives, right? First thing you see, oh, they're going to sacrifice the virgin. And so in your mind, you're thinking it's all about a physical sacrifice. It's about the death, but it's no. I think it's about the emotional sacrifice. If any of that shit is to be held true, everything from sacrifice to tithes to anything else, which tithes replaced sacrifices back in the day, it might be about the emotional content, about if these beings are feeding off your emotion. Cain and Abel, going all the way back, jealousy. So what if these evil things are feeding off the jealousy between Cain and Abel? It's so many different things that they even talk about how crazy. There are books that talk about the daughters of Adam and Eve, and that they were always twins. Uh, when Cain was born first, he had a twin sister, and they talk about this crazy shit. But all that shit was about jealousy. So what if the emotion is jealousy? What if what's feeding off are the extreme emotional content? Um, you know, talking about these archons, many people call that the jinn. Like whenever you listen to these old Muslims books and stuff, or they refer to any of these unseen beings, they call all unseen beings jinn. So we think of jinn as a genie because that's where the word comes from. But what if all these unseen things are jinn, and these things are feeding off all our emotion, and that's how they get stronger. Like I said, we've talked about this shit in the past. Lot of these huge megalithic sculptures were built by people, yeah. But what if fear was the emotion that was driving the being or whatever? Like, fear is always a big factor, especially if people in large numbers. That's how you control them, is fear. So what if these things are feeding off our fear? I just think our emotions are sustenance to them.
People often find themselves in a situation where they don't really understand the use of their sexual energy. And so oftentimes these people masturbate. And so this masturbation, you think is just, oh, I'm going to just, bust this out real quick and I'll feel better. Yeah, you'll feel better, but here's the deal. The energy you're releasing is not just a physical fluid. There is a atomic power attached to that because your sexual energy can create life. So here's the deal. If you have a chronic masturbation problem, then you are most likely feeding an entity that is just soaking up all of that shit. This is part of the reason why the Taoists developed the microcosmic orbit system to contain the sexual energy and use that for spiritual growth, to protect themselves in this life and in the afterlife. So it's a type of sexual kung fu. So what I'm getting at here is that even Masons understand in sex magic that the thought that you make at the point of orgasm, whether it's alone or with another person, the thought that you make right there, it punches through time and space and rips a hole in reality because it's so powerful. That thought form that's fueled by the sexual energy, you can say, I am going to write a song. I am going to make $1 million. I am going to go kill a person. I am going to go do this. I'm going to go build a pyramid. If you
There's
have
a
that thought,
nuclear reactor like type energy.
exactly,
the energy's there.
Exactly.
Yeah, I got you.
And if you have this thought at the point of orgasm, then it gives you extra fuel to make that into a world. That's an orgasm is a world builder. It doesn't just release life, but it builds a world. So if you're building, hold on, wait a minute. So then you're actually able to build tiny multiverses. I know this is some trippy shit, but just follow me for a second. So essentially, if you're doing this every time you bust, if you have the same consistent thought, it's going to just grow into this thing that gives you energy that you can use to power your manifestation of the reality that you plan to make for yourself. Now check this out. The flip side of that is the world around you that you can't see. wants to eat that energy.
Yeah, I see. You knew where I was going with it. I was about to say. So what's going to happen is you're going to attract certain things. If you're giving off this crazy energy, something that eats that, something that is sustained from that, it's going to be attracted to that.
Listen,
Like, you ever what?
dude, that's why you got these chicks flicking the bean, jacking off with a crystal dildo, because a crystal is a transmitter, right? Sexual
Hmm.
energy is already powerful, so they're just sticking an amplifier in the snatch, you know what I'm saying, to like blast out a radio station to the universe.
Look, a lot of these motherfuckers don't know what they're calling in, and that's my whole point about that Jinn conversation. Like I said, you know, in the Bible they're called watchers, and these angels and fallen angels and demons and whatever hell they are, if they're everywhere and they're feeding off your energy, you don't know what the hell you're attracting. And then when you drag that shit in there and you can't get rid of it, or sometimes, like we talked about this in the past podcast, sometimes you can't distinguish your own thoughts from other things being,
That
stuck in your head.
is a problem. So here's the thing. That's why they always say, know thyself. So check this out. This energy that's being used is being exploited by all types of living creatures and unliving creatures. Okay.
Unseen. How about that? Because I'm sure they all
Unseen.
living.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, living meaning as in like corporeal, physical.
Yeah. Understood. I got you. I got you. I dig it.
And so this energy is utilized by everything. So that's why you hear in all these tales from paranormal sources or whether it's like extraterrestrials, humans are so unique. Humans are so unique because they are co-creators of reality.
See, humans have the ability to be divine or animal. You understand what I'm saying? Like based on your
Yes.
diet, based on how you use your spiritual, you can be divine. You can be a god. You can be Elohim walking, or you could be the primal, most evil person, devouring nations and consuming people. That's you have the ability to be both. How you cultivate your energy is what dictates who you become.
So check this out. In sexual magic or in magic in general, you need 3 types of fluids to cast a spell. Saliva, blood, or sexual fluid. Those 3. But you can see in that order they get more and more powerful. So these secret societies are aware of this. They know all about this stuff, but they don't talk about it because they want you to keep the system going. They don't keep the system going, okay? It's the quote unquote useless eaters, the mouth breathers that keep the machine going.
The ones that don't know their power. Hey, like if you ever know, sometimes me and you always talk about like these old phrases and these old terms that old people use, and they're deeper than what we think. I got one for you. How about misery loves company?
Right.
What if those people are feeding off your misery, or what just opposite? You're attracting these people, and you're feeding off their misery. But what if? Because like I said, we consume emotions too.
Okay,
Look
but what that person is a cuckold for archons because they're like
yep.
Renevere, who was Dracula's little
Familiar, the familiar. He was
yeah,
a familiar. He would go,
Remsfield.
Renfield. Yeah. I got you. I
Yeah,
the name.
that
Renfield,
that
yep.
that was Dracula's do boy. And so basically, a human energy vampire is a do boy for unseen entities or for archons, right? So
Look.
hold on.
No.
But I want to go back to the Upanishads and the Rig Veda for a second because it talks
Yeah.
about sacrifice. If you look at the foods that you eat, all right, walk into a garden, you see rows and rows of cabbage, or you see rows and rows of flowers, or you see like other things that are edible that people can eat. Even marijuana, ganja, if you look at weed, all right, what you smoke, what gets you high, is the crystals on there. They're called trichomes. They look like these skinny mushrooms with a big bulbous cap on them. If it's an indica, and if it's like a sativa, it looks like a long, skinny silver or like a see-through hair. Okay, these trichomes hold the THC and CBD cannabinoids that get you high. So humans take this and they harvest the plant. They either roll it up and smoke it, or they make hash, or they make concentrates, but whatever. That vegetable matter is being sacrificed for the use of humans. The same way that animals go and they graze in the pasture and they eat the most simple type of plant life, grass. And they go and they eat grass, and that just transformed to energy. And then we take that cow, we take that chicken, and then we eat their muscles. And then we get energy from that. The same applies to human spiritual life. So then, if humans are like these rows and rows in this garden of these succulent fruit, then that energy is being harvested by these archons, or these creatures that want to like live off of that energy because it extends their life force. The same way eating food extends our life force. So that goes back to what they're saying in the Upanishads about how everything is a sacrifice. You know, these people, these vegans talk about how you shouldn't eat meat and, you know, because it's bad and it's, listen, if you actually go on a farm, even an organic farm, and you look and you see how the vegetables are harvested, there are so many animals that are killed in the production of just vegetables because there's field mice and squirrels and all these rabbits and creatures get run over by combines, okay, or they get killed by pesticides. So even though you think that you keeping it 100 being a vegan, nah, man, you still killing creatures to eat your vegetables.
Look, if you ain't growing your own shit, you don't know where it's coming from.
Nope.
You don't know what's attached to it. And the conversation me and you had like 15 podcasts ago, when we were talking about the only guilt-free food, it's fruit. Because fruit, you're eating the fruit of that tree. Well, usually when you eat vegetables, you're pulling the whole vegetable out the ground. You snatching up that celery. You pulling out that potato. You pulling out that carrot. But when you eat a fruit, that tree's still sitting there alive. That vine is still there. You're just plucking it off the vine. So, like I said, there is death even involved when it comes to consuming anything. The only thing that's guilt-free, like I said, is if you're eating an apple, you ain't destroying that tree. If you eat a potato, man, that plant's dead. You know, you pull that garlic up, and that whole bulb is gone. So, like I said, even in your quest to be guilt-free and unkilling.
But check this out. So, when you die, you shed your body. And your spirit goes into afterlife. But you're told you have a mind, body, and spirit. Or a body, a soul, and a spirit. Right? So if one is a container for another one, it's like a Russian doll. One is inside of another one, inside of another one. Then perhaps this body is shed. And the spirit energy, which contains the soul, leaves the body and travels into the astral plane. Now, perhaps there's something that's split between the soul and that spirit body, and the spirit body falls away and gets consumed by these creatures, and then the soul is something that they cannot touch because it's on a dimension high above them, and that goes into the Akashic records, or into Zion, or into heaven, or like into that sacred place where our ancestors dwell. So, you know, I'm saying this because I see this in my mind, but it doesn't mean that it's true. You know what I mean? But it's something worth, it's hard to investigate. It's super hard to investigate this shit. But I want to say, hold on, hold your fire, is that these beings that exist on this other plane, they talk about this. And then you hear these people that say, don't go to the light. Now, is that a trick where people are trying to trick you? Or that somebody trying to say, hey, if you go to the light, that is a swimming pool that they have you get in where they rip you in half and take your soul out of your body and they eat the spirit. You know what I'm saying?
All we know is going to the light. So it's supposedly you leaving this plane of existence. Yep. That's what they convince you with.
Yeah. But then you hear weird shit like the moon is a station for harvesting souls. And I'm like, what?
I ain't heard that one.
You never heard that before?
No, I'm listening. I'm listening.
The first time I heard this, I thought this was bananas, but
some bullshit.
Yeah, but there's this guy named John Lear, and he is from the family that created the Learjet. His dad created the Learjet, right, in the 50s with a Swiss partner, a financer. But I'm not sure how this guy came across this information, but he said that the moon traps human souls when they leave Earth.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That was a new one on me. I'm like,
Here's the whole thing about this whole spirituality thing, and different knowledge. So much of these things are bits and pieces of it, and we're quick to dismiss one, but then we listen to another, not realizing this is a puzzle. That there might be some truth to what he's saying. The moon might be a way station for something. It might be gathering. So there might be something to that. Because the example, like you watch anime, you watch Inuyasha. They got soul grabbers. So these people are dying. These soul grabbers are taking them souls someplace. And plus, even in Inuyasha, the souls are the energy for these different demons and different goddesses and gods and shit. And they're all fighting over you because you're sustenance. Like I said, it's some crazy shit, man. But anytime that so many people love to doubt us or say like, okay, that's just a preposterous thing. But when you sit here and just watch how these celebrities are, and when you say celebrities and these actors and performers,
hold that for a second, because there's something I want to get to. I want you to weigh in on this. The Mothman. The Mothman is one of several cryptozoological creatures that have been reported that show up at the time of great crisis, during battles, historic battles, during catastrophes, September 11th, where there was a bridge in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, that collapsed, and there was hundreds of, or it was probably I think maybe close to 100 people on this bridge, and they all died. So this creature was seen flying around
prior to it. Yep.
Yes. And so another thing happened in Vietnam. Soldiers would report this winged naked woman covered in hair, and they would see her only right before or after these massive battles where all these people were killed. So last night I watched this movie called Jeepers Creepers. It's an old horror film from like 2005. Okay. Jeepers Creepers is about this creature that hibernates for
years and 25 years.
Yeah,
like 50 years or something.
Yeah. And it comes around every 10 or 20 years. It has a cyclical rendezvous with this earthly plane. And when it shows up, all it does is cull human bodies. It just eats and feeds on people. So that creature is really a representative of what fallen angel offspring with the human would look like.
Well, the Nephilim got many forms. That's what makes the Nephilim whole conversation complicated, because so many different things when you start researching are Nephilim, or like I said, in the Muslims they call it jinn. And the jinn were the fallen angels or the watchers. Like there's so many conversations where, like I said, we're getting bits and pieces of this information, and either we dismiss it or we don't put it together in the right form. But what you're saying is some deep shit. So what if these creatures are feeding off this negative energy, and they appear because they know something's about to happen?
Because it's basically Bonnaroo, or their fucking Hot 97 summer bash, you know what I'm saying? Where they know there's gonna be this huge music concert of like human energy that they can go and just like get in that mosh pit and just eat up that shit like a pig in slop.
They feast and then disappear. Yeah. Well, hey, I can't think of that group. Who was that damn rock group where the drummer was into that cult and he swore it down? He can call the Loch Ness monster whenever he wanted.
Yeah, that's whatchamacallit. That's Led Zeppelin.
Led Zeppelin. So the drummer was supposed to be the dark arts. So that's where it always got complicated. So what if the reason we don't see these cryptids is because they're passing through planes or different realities?
He bought a house near Loch Ness, and they say all types of weird, magical, strange, paranormal stuff was happening in this house because they were trying to open portals. But the same thing was happening with the guy that started Scientology and the guy that L. Ron Hubbard.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Hubbard and Aleister Crowley. They opened up that portal out there in the desert. Look, like I said, here's what people are doubting us, but I'm just trying to tell you, look at these. Whenever you see these actors or these performers or these rappers or singers, look, whenever they have these big crowds, they're sucking off that energy. They're like, man, when I get on stage, I just feel so. And they even tell you there's no substitution. Like you watch these wrestling documentaries, they'll tell you there's no substitution when you have 70,000 people screaming your name, either booing you but you feed off the energy. So hear this all the fucking time. You hear it when football players like, man, I'm gonna give you Robert Ory, one of the worst players in history, but he was dope in the playoffs. He got 7, 8 rings, but that's one guy that would perform in the playoffs because the energy was different. So you hear these stories, but you don't equate them to people.
Because he's feeding off of it. He's using it to lift up his performance level.
Yeah. See, like I said, we call it inspire, but what if it's actual stuff? What if it's actually when you hit that level, you become acute, and all of a sudden you become divine, or you become whatever, and you start, you feel that energy. You read people, you look out there in a crowd, you see all kinds of shit, and you just feel it. And so, I think that one of the things that we don't pay enough attention to, look at pimps. Look at when you got 5 or 6 women giving you their all. And it's not, you recognize it's not just monetary, it's mental and physical. They dig that shit. Or like, I always bring up this incident where, remember they had all those football players from Minnesota, and they was on that boat, they had all these girls, and it was all that. And so this reporter is like, man, that's so fucking, that's disgusting, I can't believe that. And then this other reporter goes like, hey man, you ain't ever had 25, 30 women calling your name, wanting to have sex with you. We just talked about the sexual energy. You've never had women who desired you. You got one chick, you married her, and you clung to her. But what is it when you walk out from a game and you got all these women who are sexually attracted to you?
It's a cult.
It's
a cult.
It's some kind of worship. And so
it's hero worship. It's a transmission of sexual energy through the ether. It's a lot of things.
You got good-looking broads when they have orgies. Look, all these motherfuckers that brag about having a menage a trois, you had a menage with 5 ugly fat bitches, nigga, that ain't shit. That equals maybe 1/2 of a good-looking girl. But if you got 6 or 7 bad women, beautiful bodies, mind, self-sufficient, and they all want to be with you, and they chose you, nigga, there's all kinds of different shit going on there.
Once upon a time, I was sitting in the lobby of a hotel, and I was sitting there, and I was actually working. I was overseeing a project. Okay, I was the head of a project, and I was sitting there in this lobby, and this beautiful woman walks up to me, and she just starts talking to me, and she sits down, and she looked like, how they would draw like the women in like X-Men comics, like
big titties and hips and ass,
Storm, and like Rogue, and like the way they would draw them. She
overly emphasized breast,
but a slight like athletic kind of build for like a woman almost, like kind of like a track star with like a banging ass body and a nice ass and some nice legs, and
it's the arms. The arms are real defined.
Everything. Okay, so all right, listen. There's a scale of 1 to 10 that the average man has access to. And then if you're a rock star or a millionaire or a billionaire, there's 10 to 20. Okay, she was in this 10 to 20 range, and she was about an 18.
She was a 17. Okay, I was going to say 17.
Now she was 18. She was 18 on that scale. And, through the conversation, I figured out she was a prostitute. But she was a very expensive prostitute, right? And
she was a call girl. I dig it.
And so she shakes my hand, and when she shakes my hand, I feel this surge of energy run from her hand into my hand, down my arm, through my microcosmic orbit, chi meridians, straight to my loins. And dude, I had the power of Grayskull, Thundercat's Hole, the strongest erection that I've had in a long time, dude. Listen to me. So, but I realized something. That's a gift that she has.
See, hold it. See, people love to say sex is mental, but they don't ever want to say sex is spiritual.
Dude, see, listen to me.
See, that was spiritual.
This was a 7th grade boner. I could cut diamonds with this fucking boner, man. Like,
yeah, that's the one you wake up with. You used to wake up with that, like your dick wake up before you.
But you don't understand what happened though, man. She did some Fist of the North Star type shit on my dick.
Yeah, I know, I know. Okay,
So, but
see,
hold it. And but see, at that moment, I knew my genes and her genes were 100% compatible.
compatible.
And I
Yeah.
said, you need to go, like, you need to walk away right now. She said, why? I said, because if you and I have sex, you're going to get pregnant. She's like, well, we can just use protection. It ain't going to work. It's going to break through that condom.
Yeah,
Like,
it don't work like that.
no. Listen, all I'm saying is that showed me firsthand how powerful not love but sexual energy is. Now take that. And hold on, whoa. So say you just have just five of those women with that same energy.
That's my point.
Okay? And
That's
then
my point.
these sirens, okay? These sirens are luring this sailor, this football player, to these rocks. You know what I'm saying? Listen,
Look. See, come on,
hold it.
come with
So
it.
now this guy, this mouth breathing meathead, he has no iota of what real sexual power is. He just wants to stick his dick in something and just, you know what I'm saying, and go for broke.
He's just physical. He's the animal portion.
That's
She's the
it.
God portion.
That's
She's the divine portion.
goddess.
See,
Yes.
yeah.
And so he doesn't understand what he is really in.
Yeah, he's
See,
just with a physical conquest. He doesn't know what he's creating. He doesn't
right.
know what he's dabbling with.
Listen, he's about to take a dip into some hot springs and he just thinks it's a warm bathtub. No,
Yeah,
dude.
see that nigga's a battery. All he is the battery. He's just
Bingo.
that. Yeah,
Bingo.
Yeah, he ain't got,
and that brings me back to the Upanishads and the Archons and the Nag Hammadi. So then, what do you think these women are to the Archons? Because, excuse me, there's a term called loosh. And the loosh is this energy, this emotional energy. If they are taking this loosh from these women and from this guy, dude, whatever creature came to that watering hole to drink, oh, buddy, that watering hole, that fountain, that spring has the best Kool-Aid coming out of that shit, and it's just lapping it up.
Look. See, I'm not trying to fulfill. There's certain people I don't like to try to fulfill when I say certain shit, but there are a sect of women out there. All these new age women that are into witchcraft, black, white, and Mexican, whatever. They always think you're dumb, so they talk about shit right in front of you because they don't think you know what they're talking about, and they'll be like, man, you don't understand what Lilith is like, and
all right,
yeah, they're talking about Lilith.
Yeah,
Lilith.
I know what that is.
They say Lilith and shit like that. Like, you mean
See,
Lilith?
You must be speaking like from experience that this shit must have happened to you either before or recently, and you had
it's a while back. Yeah, and so for people who don't know, Lilith is Adam's first wife. Eve is Adam's second wife. So when you read all these the alphabet, the Book of Jubilee, and I can't think of the alphabet one. The old books. These old Jewish books that talk about.
But where did she go? She didn't die.
No, oh yeah, she's just wandering around.
She spoke to the fallen angels.
She's hold it. Some people say she was a fallen because you got to remember, she was one of the fallen ones because she wasn't human. Some people say she's a vampire, whatever it was. She's not human. She is not. Remember what you must understand. Adam's first wife was not human. Second, they had an argument over sex. Who would be on top? He said, I'm going to be on top. I'm going to be dominant. She said, no, we both could be on top. That nigga said, nah, I'll be on top. And that's what. So when you find out that tells you right from the beginning of sex on this planet with humans that there is a struggle. There's a dichotomy. There's positions are important. It just tells you that. Excuse me. Let me wrap it back up. It just tells you that this sex thing has much more energy involved than you understand. So all these people that try to downplay or just goes for the physical aspect of sex, it's not just physical. And people always the mind got to be. It's not the mind you're stimulating. It's the mind, body, and soul. It's the three. And then you hear all these old people like Hitler was into that crazy shit with the chakras and shit. And oh yeah, they were only doing 4 chakras when there's 7 or 9 chakras.
13. There's 13 of them.
Yeah, they were doing 9, and it's 13 of them. Excuse me. And so you got to understand that if you ain't, how about this? That this shit will give you the ability to do crazy shit. Like, so you guys let him make fun of this David Koresh nigga. Where, like, Waco, look, he found enough people to follow him, men and women, and of course he takes the little girls and do like, he's disgusting. I get it, but what happens when you have power? When you feel like a god, when you feel divine, you start, and you're not pure soul, you're not pure to begin with. All you're gonna do is encourage this motherfucker to do crazy shit, and we see it. Whenever you got these cultists, whenever you got this Charles Manson motherfucker leading people, whenever you got Jim Jones leading motherfuckers, when you start leading people, they start giving you their energy. Oh, I don't want to leave out the black guy. Who's our boy Ruhan from Yahweh Ben Yahweh? Look, that motherfucker was taking people's wives and sending niggas out.
Because the thing that I see with all these people that begin this journey is that they get a little bit of knowledge, and then that ego steps in, is like, yo, we can get crazy bitches, dog. We can get some money, we can get paid, dog.
It ain't no we. It ain't no we. It's like, nigga, I'm considering this shit. Right. I belong. All these hoes belong to me. Y'all niggas.
The problem is they're selling themselves short. They're cheating themselves of a greater experience because they settle for base pleasures. They settle for base, attributes. These things that will satisfy their weak ego, and you're letting it's like letting a fourth grader drive your car across the country. And I'm like, no.
Look, these people, they just tap into it, and they get a taste of it.
They get a taste of it, but see, the problem is they end up going in the wrong direction, because I've seen people personally that, like, did you teach something to, or they learn something, and they're like, man, this energy is boundless. I can do this. I said, calm down. Settle down, because you're getting out of control, and there's more to learn. And you have to check that ego, because that is what's going to get you your skull dashed upon the rocks, or that's going to get you. That's how the sirens are going to lure you to your death.
Look, let's just
you ever seen those movies? You ever seen those movies where people are invited to an orgy and it's a bunch of vampires in disguise, or those people are like wind up being blood sacrifices?
Or how about this? Don't forget, the first movie like that I can remember was The Howling. Remember when they had all the motherfucking werewolves and all together? They just devouring people. Like, you gotta understand something. When these crazy motherfuckers make movies, sometimes they're inspired by real events, or they're inspired by shit. That's why it's so easy for Hollywood to put these ceremonies in front of us, and we don't even recognize it. We just see it as entertainment, or that's somebody. Oh, the Great Gatsby and all this other bullshit. Nah, my nigga, these motherfuckers are.
And that brings us to this whole Will Smith thing.
Yeah, I was going there. The whole way we had this conversation is, I have an issue with the Jada and Will Smith, and here's my issue: that these people, Jada more so, she just feeds off of emotion. She loves emotion, and so let's start by one. Everybody wants to be this couple. Like, this couple is so perfect when they've been having issues for years, and this is what I mean when
the problem is she is not his equal. And what I mean by that is, like, at the end of the day, when the story is told, who is everybody going to remember? Will Smith. She is
it's complicated.
Hold on.
That's deep.
She's a footnote in history, because he has built a brand off of his charisma, right? And so he has, made movies, and he's made music, and he's like a household name. He is a household name. Jada Pinkett is becoming a household name now because of controversy. She was not a household name before.
Because of her affiliation with Will Smith, that's what made her a household name.
Right.
And she had an acting career previously.
Yeah.
But if you pay attention,
but
her
ask
celebrity.
Ask the average person that ain't black who she was, and I'm like, who?
Oh, no, hold it. There's something else I want to say. Her celebrity, her popularity is based on what man she's with. Pay attention to the men she's
Tupac.
Because in Will Smith. So if you pay attention, her celebrity, and even her being on a different world, at Cosby Show, she might be one of Cosby's whatever. But the bottom line is
you're a TV actress, big fucking deal. But it's your association with these men, which got you higher and greater
Got you.
positions.
You're a
So
celebrity. Yes.
so
It's
but here's the deal though. So now they have these she basically like wanted this like cash in on a car wreck and make money from basically all
a
she wanted to
from
do
a
is
travesty,
find a
a
way
tragedy.
to
Excuse me.
monetize her sex life. And so
Well, hold it.
so
She
she
likes to
created.
monetize tragedy too. Don't
Yes,
forget.
I
She
got that.
loves to feed off tragedy. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I got that. But
yeah.
then she created these red table talks. And
They, they,
what this
thank
really
you.
did was emasculate him. It was done to take the power from him. She is jealous of the influence and the power that he has, and how she is just a sidecar, side, sidekick. You know what I'm saying? The wife. You know what I mean? And like, because dude, like when you watch her movies, when you watch the stuff she's done, she's like a B level actor. You know what I'm saying? Like B,
Actress.
basic.
Okay.
B as in basic. Like this is like
They give her way too much credit because pay attention. Name her movies. Like I said, the
go
biggest movie she name it. Name them.
name one movie that she was the lead in that's not straight to video. Okay?
See,
Yeah.
the whole thing is like, see, as black
Hold on,
folks,
hold on, hold on. Can
we
she
live in the
carry a
past.
movie? No. Can Will
On her,
Smith carry a movie? Yes. Because
now hold it.
hold on, hold
Don't
on, wait, wait, wait,
misunderstand
whoa,
what
whoa,
we're
whoa,
saying.
hold on, stop. This guy had the nickname in the '90s, Mr. July, because every 4th of July he had a movie came up, and it was
Bad
making
Boys,
hundreds of millions
Independence
of
Day.
dollars.
Just it just kept so. Well, Wild West. They keep making man. That's still 20 million. They pay that nigga $20 million. So here's what we're trying to get across to y'all. Like she's literally off the.
Dude, he is the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He will always be that person to generations, not just Z or X or Y. Like this dude is the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Listen, he's still a dude from West Philadelphia. All right. And
Look,
people forget this motherfucker was Muhammad Ali for a year. What do I mean? He had to train in boxing for a year and copy the style of Muhammad Ali for a year and spar with boxers for a year. So this dude has hands. So then,
see, I think I got
hold
a
on.
different opinion of that. We'll
So
discuss that in a second.
then I'm watching live the Academy Awards, right? And I see him walk up on stage. I'm like, okay, something's about to happen. And he smacks him. I watched it happen live. And I saw the stunned look on Chris Rock's face. And Chris Rock couldn't believe that he got slapped because he was dumbfounded for a second. He was at a loss for words for about 30 seconds. Now, when I go back and I freeze frame and I look at the footage, Will, when he slaps him with his right hand. And anybody who trains, spars, can tells you, like, you can look at a person and tell their style, or their, like, what how much training they have, because his left hand was up in guard position. His right hand was extended to punch or like to slap. So this guy has training. He can fight. He can fight.
I don't
Hold on.
look.
Hold on a second. And then he walks away. Now, the thing is that was ceremonial because Will used restraint. He slapped him
The slap
instead
was
of punching.
punching him.
He
Yes.
slapped instead of punching him because it was just a dignified man in a tuxedo's way of saying, hey, you out of pocket. Because Frenchmen used to do this in the 17s and 18s and 1600s. They would take off a glove.
Charlie Murphy was talking about that shit. Maybe you a slap and nigga had to go afterwards because a slap is more insulting than a punch. See, a punch
Yes.
means that I see you as an equal, that I'm afraid of the repercussion. A slap means I don't
You're less
expect
than
anything
me.
to come.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm slapping you like you're a woman. But I'm disagreeing with you on one portion of what you're saying. Will Smith has slapped a reporter over there in England, in Europe. I don't know if it's England. I'm just saying one of these European countries. I don't know what
I
country
remember.
it was. Yeah, the reporter kisses him and he slaps him, and the slap was kind of feminine to me, and I was like, "What was that about?" And Will was stunned. You could tell that again. I don't know if he had restraint or if he was just like that's how he responds to shit, slap it. Because some people actually use open palm strikes.
No.
I'm just being honest with you.
Listen. That's the thing, though. This guy was trained as a boxer for at least 1 year. So he knows how to punch, and he knows how to punch hard. And this dude has big hands. You know what I'm saying? Like he could have knocked him out if he wanted to, man. Look,
Look, my other problem is Chris Rock is still the smaller of the two. He felt part of Will's thing was he felt comfortable doing that shit. What? Because he there's no threat there. But let's go back to the whole conversation. Because me and you, just this is for our audience. We broke this whole thing down.
Yeah.
Over days.
The whole reason. Listen, the whole reason why he felt he had to do it is because he laughed at the joke first, and he looked over and saw his wife was frowning. And he's like, "All right, I need to do something about this," because he was like, "Listen, man, this is still my broad. This is still my wife at the end of the day. Now, for better or for worse, he has to defend her honor. You know what I'm saying? Or a decent man would."
He felt he needed to, whatever the justification is, because Roscoe said some deep shit when he was breaking down, like, look, this dude is frustrated. He's been dealing with comments about his marriage for so long.
Listen, man, listen. He has been the butt of jokes for years now because of this broad. You got to understand who he was before this shit. This guy was Mr. July. He was the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. This motherfucker was the golden boy of hip-hop, okay? He couldn't do no wrong.
First rap Grammy, my nigga.
Rap Grammy. The first rapper, him and Jazzy Jeff, rap duo to win an Academy Award, with an Oscar, goddammit, a Grammy was the Fresh Prince and Jazzy Jeff. Okay? For parents just don't understand. So he made history. This guy was making history. He had a show that as a family show is funny. Everybody can watch it. It's all good and shit. He's making music everybody likes. Summertime. This motherfucker he's a part of history. He's part of black history. And then this motherfucker marries this straight up Baltimore trash ass chicken head, and this broad will not shut up about Tupac. And I'm like, look, this motherfucker's been dead for 25 years. Shut up. And then she starts like, look, they go on a family vacation in Hawaii and shit. She's like, all right, everybody good. Everybody went on the jet skis. All right, we're going to have dinner. All right, I'm going to go off for a couple hours and go fuck this young dude, and y'all have a good time. Now, of course, this was agreed, but listen.
So allegedly, because we really don't know.
Okay, but you add insult to injury when you do that, and then you want to go and put a fucking TV show about this, and then you want me to come on this TV show and humiliate me on this fucking TV show. I'm like,
we're talking about the Red Table. We're talking about the Red Table, which is the number one show on. Hold on. Listen. Somewhere down inside of him is a real nigga. I don't give a fuck what y'all think. There's a real nigga deep inside of him. Okay? Real street dude inside of him. And because of that, there's parts of him like, man, you letting this fucking broad drag you down. She is dragging you down. There's a part of his ego is like, his ego's like, fuck this bitch, man. Like, I'm so tired of this shit. And that's why that motherfucker got up and slapped that little ass nigga and walked away. Because there's other parts to it. You left out, like, nigga, you look. If for y'all, I'm gonna tell you something right now. Certain things are about status. It's not, and I don't mean in an ego way, but ego has something to do. Okay.
Yeah, so, but the thing is like, he's like, motherfucker, I'm the top of the pyramid. Who the fuck you think you are talking to me? Like, and then hold on. Here's another thing. Chris Rock is a class A coon. If y'all don't believe me, go and watch the YouTube clip where this motherfucker gives Louis C.K. a fucking pass, use the word nigga, nigger.
Hold it. Just for the record, Jerry Seinfeld was there.
Jerry Seinfeld was there. He was like, I ain't cool with none of this shit.
Yeah, dude. Jerry. So hold it. Here's for those people that don't understand how Nipsey Hussle got killed. I gotta tell you some shit about gang life. So Nipsey Hussle's in the hood. He is a Crip, and so sometimes when you a Crip, when you a blood in LA, you gotta pay tax. So usually when the OGs say, "Hey, pay tax," Big Hugh, that nigga Big U, pay attention. The nigga with the Jerry curl was beating niggas up. That he's a rap manager now. So Big U sent a little nigga to go get the tax from Nipsey Hussle. So if you're supposed to send somebody the same level or higher, like, hey nigga, you gotta pay your tax. But if you send somebody lower, that nigga to somebody lower. They sent that nigga that shitty Crip. They sent that nigga to go get money from Nipsey. He's like, nah, nigga, who the fuck is you? You and so Nipsey beat that nigga up a couple times. Well, that third time that nigga came with heat. Well, that's how it is. So when you see a motherfucker like Chris Rock and you sit in my face joking, and my wife gets upset, like there's a certain person I don't hang around anymore, and you know who that person is. His last name is a color. I don't hang around that nigga no more because, or I would never take my woman or anybody I'm fucking with around him because he would always say some disrespectful shit, and I gotta hurt this nigga. There's certain things. So you sit there with your wife in front of all these people, and the joke was not even a bad joke, but you gotta understand, like, Will has some emotional shit going on. So this nigga said this joke. His wife gets upset, like, you know what? Fuck this. I got to take control of this situation. I'm going to slap this little nigga. And so he slaps him. Now, our whole issue, going back to the Red Table Talk, this woman literally has a show where she is basically feeding off her own negative emotion or feeding off people's emotion about what she's saying. Even from the earlier show where she had Will's first ex-wife on there, to the other shows where she had her own daughter on there talking, and then she talks about her own experience. I guess when she got raped or when she went to some shit. She's literally has a show that's about negative emotions. So then, I can't say she got caught sleeping with a younger man because everybody's saying, according to August Alsina, that Will was aware of their relationship, but the whole world wasn't. There's some. You hear me say this. Some shit is not meant for public consumption. So, this nigga, his album ain't selling. So, what's the only thing he got in his life? Oh, I was sleeping with Jada on a regular basis. I was best friends with his son.
Dude,
like, oh my.
Listen, I might have heard this guy's name one time before this shit. But then again, what have you heard come from this guy musically or creatively
one song,
since then?
One song.
Nothing.
One song. He only had one hit, and it was a moderate hit. Was I love this shit, and the remix was dope. That's it. There's nothing that comes to mind. So he's no different from her. He is somebody whose fame comes from their association. So he became the Jada Pinkett Smith of the situation. Well, look, I slept with this bitch. This will get me some clout. So he puts it out there. Now, here's the thing. Now, I told you for years, I read a long time ago, we always hear that they have an open relationship, but they swear it down, they don't. So the fact that these niggas like to respond in public to shit makes me think these motherfuckers are some kind of emotional vampires. The nigga I heard that Will was associated with was Dwayne Martin. I read that shit in a tabloid years ago, and then years later, like they always had the receipts that they were together. Like Will and his dude was together down in Brazil, and all this other crazy shit. And Will fit the bill, or Will bought him a house when Tisha. What's Gina's real name? I can't think. I don't remember. But when him and Gina from Martin was on the outs. Campbell, whatever her name.
Listen, man. But at the end of the day, this dude gets mad pussy thrown at him. Okay, so there's a part of his mind that's like, bitch, do you not understand how many hoes want to fuck?
Do you know who I am? Do you know who I am?
She clearly, but then again, she does, because that's why she wants to castrate him in front of everybody. Because
over and over again.
She's trying to make him less attractive and unfuckable to other women.
You know what? Hold it. I do not know if that's her goal. I just think she's an energy vampire. But I just think that she feeds off the energy from these situations. Because sometimes
that's why we're bringing this up. But
people don't have the goal you think they have. There are byproducts of your behavior, and there's a goal that you actually set out to get. Her goal is just to harvest his energy. I don't think she cares about what happens. But again, she was not going to come out with the August. That was private shit.
Okay.
She didn't break that shit.
But here's the deal, though. That the energy that the public has put into this,
she capitalized off it. She capitalized off it.
But then there are entities that are consuming all this energy. But this is also a huge distraction from all this other shit that's going on. Because
shit, yeah.
In Ukraine right now, black assistants, black volunteers for the Red Cross and all these NGOs are being called nigger with a hard R by these Ukrainians. And I'm like, And like I thought it was a joke at first, but then
These stories aren't getting out there.
I
These
saw
stories
on
are
the
not getting
web
out there.
page. I saw on the web page that from the Red Cross, it says, listen, you have to be careful because these people, if they see you, they're gonna call you nigger. And
Look,
they hold on. It says it is your discretion on how you want to deal with this because it is a war zone. He said, do what you want, but be aware they will call you nigger. Now hold
look,
on.
hold it.
Where
I
is
see
this
some
coming
shit.
from? Where is this coming from? How is
Oh,
it these people on the other side of the planet see black people and call them nigger? Because two reasons. They know that we call ourselves that, and they know that white trash call us that with the hard R. So, so
but tell the
then,
whole story. Hold
so,
it,
so,
Roscoe.
wait,
Tell
wait,
the whole
wait, man,
story.
hold on. So then that means that there's been some brainwashing going on. And because these people have very little interaction with real black people, all they see on TV are these caricatures that are broadcast around the planet, which is why they were for the longest time there were these blackface cartoons in Japan. And
Yeah.
there'd be
Oh, they were
blackface
bad.
characters in Japan. Mr. Popo on Dragon Ball, the original Dragon Ball. And on and on and on. But see, this
You
these
know who fixed that? You know who fixed that, right? Sidney Poitier. Yeah, Sidney Poitier actually, because of him, they changed how black people were drawn over there. They were terrible. But go ahead. I'm
so
sorry.
but here's the deal. So then what happens is intelligent, civilized black people then have to go in and educate these fucking mongrels and explain to them that, hey, you have been brainwashed by ignorant ass white people. Okay, you have a distorted view of who we are, but I'm gonna set that straight for you. But listen, this is
Hold
happening
it.
because there's volunteers going over there to help. This is happening because there are Africans that are being pushed off of the trains that are escaping the cities so that more white people can get on. Women and children, black Africans, are being pushed off these trains.
The black folks are being left behind. White folks are being allowed to leave the country. Look,
And the crazy part about it is, it's just like Civil War. They'll let the black person fight, but they're gonna call him a nigger still.
hold it. See, okay, the bottom line is the shit that we talked about in our past podcast. The Ukraine is a hotbed for white supremacy right now. All these neo-Nazis, these international neo-Nazis, are coming from the Ukraine. Soldiers from America found out about this. See, we knew this war was going to happen, so we sent our soldiers over there to train with them. Our soldiers, white soldiers, were coming back like, hey, I need to know some shit going on. Our military knew about this. Check out Newsweek. This shit was being talked about a year ago. So here's where it got crazy. Some of these white supremacy soldiers went back and trained them for free. These other ones were training them, hey, I don't feel comfortable training them, but I'll complete my service because I'm supposed to. But other you train these motherfuckers. Currently, we talked about this other podcast. The Ukraine is sending people out to Brazil, Venezuela. I can't think of this
But
other country
what
over.
did I tell you about this shit, man? This was a conversation that you and I had
Oh yeah,
about a
yeah, yeah.
month ago, and I said
You said it
these
first. You said
Nazis,
it first. Yeah,
these
you said it
Nazis,
first.
these Nazis in Ukraine are the white Al Qaeda in the Ukraine, meaning it is
They're
a
being backed
group.
by America,
There
CIA.
you
They're
go.
being backed by us. Yes.
Correct.
And so, like I said, if you Putin has told you he's invading. See, Putin is crazy, but he's not crazy. Like I remember when that reporter
No,
asked him, "Why are you?"
listen. He doesn't give a shit. I sent you an interview where
Yeah,
he's saying like, I don't give a fuck about what y'all think about me. And he
no,
said
no.
this in Russian. He's like, I don't give a fuck. He's like, well,
And, and,
what do you think about what the UN says? I don't. He said, fuck them. I don't care.
and then the guy says, "You don't have to cuss." He's cussing to the reporter. Oh, you. He explains like, okay, what about Hillary Clinton? Shit, and you're like, what the fuck is this tangent? But he'll tell you they have chemical plants on the border of Ukraine and Russia. We can't trust these motherfuckers, so I'm fixing it. I'm doing what needs to be done. Last but not least, I'm not a fan of Putin. I think too many white boys jock him. But right now, what's going on in the Ukraine? Them Ukrainians don't like niggas. Y'all need to know this shit.
This situation is complicated, but it's simple at the same time. First of all, it's complex because the American media brainwashes American citizens into hating Putin. okay? And they'll tell you all this shit about him, but that's done because they removed the ban on propaganda in the American media in 2016. So with the NDAA Act, but so in doing so, then when something goes down in Russia, you don't get the real story. But also
Yeah.
at the same time, they won't tell you about these Nazis that are over there. They'll basically clog the news feed with two black men fighting when black men are fighting on behalf of people that are calling them niggers.
Look, here, okay. Like I said, a lot of this shit is distraction. But the bottom line is, check out Newsweek. The shit they saying now, look at the shit they said a year ago regarding Ukraine. You look that shit up on your own. What we're saying is that first things first, black man, black woman, Mexican man, Mexican woman, whatever. That war to Ukraine, that's your business.
Ain't none of your business.
You got an opinion on it because Russia's invading. You know what? There's a reason they're invading. I might not agree with the reason they're invading. I also don't agree with that.
Then all right, cool, that's fine. But then let's say that Ukraine is victorious, and then so this neo-Nazism starts to spread throughout Europe again, and it starts to trickle down into the Netherlands and in Norway.
See, hold it. This happened before. People don't realize those neo-Nazis. The reason they're called neo-Nazis is because that shit happened before.
Yeah, neo means new.
Yeah, these motherfuckers
the
is new.
spread of Nazism, it spread before.
In 88, in 86, we're talking about back in the day. And then it got squashed. Then in the 90s, the wall falls down. That shit got squashed. See, they've been squashed over the years. So the problem is, my brother's trying to tell you, if the Ukraine wins, they're going to feel emboldened. They're going to feel like, okay, our message is the best. We were right because we beat this. We need them to lose so this shit gets squashed. Because if they win, then all of a sudden you're going to have a new motherfucking Nazis all over the world traveling and sending their message and all this other shit.
Walking around with their head up and their chest out. That's all I got. We out. Peace.
Holla back.